I'm here with Zachary Bokhari, who is the winner of the TCG event in the seniors division. And Zachary, we just have a few questions. First off, where are you from, and how'd you get into Pokemon?
I'm a player from New Jersey, and I've been playing for 10 years now. My family has been pretty active in the community for this past 10 years, and my brother is really the main person who helped me get into the game since he was collecting in his childhood, and he pushed me to play when I was young.
So you had an older brother. Great. Always like to hear those stories. All right, so for this year's tournament, you decided to play Ninetales GX with a couple other things that we'll talk about. First of all, it's a relatively new deck. How would you summarize the basic strategy of the Ninetales GX deck?
Well, in some matchups, you might want to spread early with like a Tapu Koko or even an Ice Blade Attack to put 50 on people. But most of the time, it's a pretty aggressive deck with its second attack, hitting for big numbers, and being able to repower up the deck with Aqua Patches.
Yeah, those are some of the key cards. Now, what we didn't see during the finals was a Pseudo-Wudo you have in your deck as sort of a one-off. What's that one for?
Mainly for Rayquaza or maybe a Rainbow Road, but it also helps in against a lot of other matchups too, like Trample Garb likes to fill their bench. Any deck that bridges turn 1 has to fill their bench a lot, and then you take away their last bench spot, which could be used for Tapu Lele later in the game. And also Decidueye likes to fill their bench, a lot of other decks in general.
And what made you choose it for this particular tournament? Were you expecting a certain metagame, or?
Yeah, I expected a lot of Trample Garb, Espeon Garb, and Decidueye decks, along with some Greninja. That's why I threw a Giratina promo in the deck. So yeah, I expected that meta field to be there. Some Gardevoir as well. When the matchup with Gardevoir is pretty 50-50. I ended up beating one in top 4 though, 2-0. But otherwise, I think the matchup was pretty 50-50. So I was hoping maybe I'll just hit one of them and I'll be able to maybe squeak out a win. But I expected mostly Garbodors and Greninjas and Decidueyes.
Yeah, that promo Giratina was very important in the finals. You were, in fact, paired against a Greninja deck. You won the match 2-1, so very good there. The part that got kind of interesting was that second game. You were faced with a very difficult choice on your first turn. You had a hand with a Sycamore and 3 Versus Seekers, and you decided to discard it. What was going through your head? What was sort of the calculus going on there?
Yeah, so I only played 3 V-Seeker in my deck, so that was all my V-Seekers. And 2 Rough Seeds as well, a double colorless, and a Ninetales. And I only played 3 Ninetales. 1 was prized, so I basically had 1 left in deck after I Sycamored. And I wanted to Sycamore because I didn't want him to get too far ahead. I needed to make sure I was able to evolve my Ninetales and keep up with the game. So I needed to get Vulpix down, and I didn't want to fall too far behind with just a Remoraid in the active spot.
Yeah, and now, unfortunately, you did play very aggressively with your hand there, and maybe a little too much so, because your opponent was actually able to bubble you with his Froakie to a deck out, which is very rare. We did see one of those in the Masters finals as well. Do you think there's a reason we're seeing a bit more of those, or was that sort of just an anomaly there, seeing 2 of those between 2 of the final matches, do you think?
Well, decks are starting to, they kind of slowed down when Bridget decks started to get up like more popular, but now with like Gardevoir and stuff like Lissiput, like you saw in the finals and Masters, like decks are starting to get more aggressive and they like to burn through their deck a lot more, and decks having Octillery, that's a lot more burning through your deck, so deck outs are more common. That's
a good theory. It certainly would take some deeper analysis to know for sure, but I think that's a pretty good theory you've got there. All right, well, in the third game, your opponent had 2 of his Frogadier prized. How did you eventually figure that out? He figured it out when he did a search. Did that sort of dawn on you eventually?
Yeah, after he did his water duplicates, I was pretty much clear that he did prize his 2 Frogadier, and I felt pretty confident in the matches. I also got my the next turn after that, I was able to kill one of his Frogadiers, leaving him with only 1 on board.
Yeah, that match was very much in your favor, especially since you were able to get Giratina out relatively early there, which is a big stop to that giant water shuriken, which drastically shifts things over. But you still played very well, and at the same time, your opponent, Michael, made you work for it. So very entertaining final. Loved watching that. All right, well, I guess we got to ask one more thing. You're a world champion now. How does that feel?
It definitely feels great. After 10 years, I have previously top 4 worlds, but not much in the World Championships other than that. So it definitely feels good to finally win after 10 years.
All right, well, thank you very much, Zachary. This has been Stephen Reich from the Pokemon World Championships 2017 in Anaheim, California.